Welcome to Pubcast Live. I'm Ken Thomas, along with Thor all over. Pubcast Live is the podcast where we celebrate America's love affair with bars, pubs, and breweries. This is episode 5. I'm really looking forward to today's show because we're going to talk with someone that has started something brand new here in the Brainerd Lakes area, and it's all about distilling.
Yeah, we've been talking about bars and just beers and drinks, but this is an actual distillery right here in Brainerd that's crafting and distilling fine liquors, vodkas, gin, and really a different concept and kind of on the cutting edge of a new wave, I think, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and we've been told there will be samples, and we'll be talking about 5Rocks Distilling Company.
That's right. Now, we found out the reason it's called 5Rocks. Why 5? I'm thinking ice cubes, but no. It's owned by the DeRozier family, and there's 5 members of the DeRozier family here. We got Bill, Lisa, Lizzy, Seth, and Billy. All of that family started this concept, hence the number 5, and 5Rocks Distilling. And I'm told it means of the rocks.
The name DeRozier, which is the...
In French.
Yes, okay.
In Francais is of the rocks.
And since neither one of us speak French, we're just going to go with that.
And the other thing is, when you're thinking rocks, I think they're talking about actual rocks, but of course I'm thinking ice cubes. When I think of 5Rocks right away, I think of 5 ice cubes and a nice bourbon. Let's find out.
All right. Well, either way, our guest has told us that we will have samples, so I'm looking forward to that. And we'll get to that interview in just a moment. Today's episode is brought to you by Giovanni's Frozen Pizza. Great frozen pizza that you can find all over central Minnesota, and they have over 20 varieties to choose from. Next time you're in a pub, ask for it by name. Giovanni's Frozen Pizza. Well, it is time on Pubcast Live to talk to our very special guest today, Thor, and that's Brett Jenkins. He is the head distiller at 5Rocks Distilling Company. It's right here in Brainerd, Minnesota. They are a micro, or if you will, craft distillery.
Yep.
Brett, first of all, welcome to Pubcast Live.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. And first things first, we're going to take care of some business here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, a little ice in the glass.
You heard that, right? A little ice in the glass.
And that's not just a sound effect.
Brett has been kind enough to bring us some samples here.
Yeah.
And we're just, if you don't mind, we're going to start and just have a little sip, and then we'll get busy.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, this is good.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Good stuff. So, Brett, let's start at the beginning.
Yeah.
How did 5Rocks Distillery come about?
Well, starts with my mother-in-law, Lisa, and her husband, Bill. They're the 2 owners of 5Rocks. Lisa has a good chemistry background. She has a master's in food science and a master's in food safety. And Bill has a business background, business construction background. So,
yeah.
And they both wanted to just do something for themselves. They're sick of, working for the man and wanted to start a business. They got involved in that Destination Downtown competition, and they made it very far in that, and that's kind of how they started. There's no real rhyme or reason for the distillery.
Yeah. And of course, for those, our listeners, Pubcast Live, we should let you know here in Brainerd, the Chamber of Commerce sponsored a competition.
Yep. Does several years.
Yep. And did several years of finding businesses that would like to locate in downtown Brainerd. They held a competition, and 5Rocks was one of the runner-up, but they still received some money, and you got started from that, so to speak.
Absolutely.
You know, we've talked about this before, too. Now, you mentioned your mother-in-law there, Lisa. Does she run around like in a lab coat and frizzy hair and with Bunsen burners? That's what Ken always says.
She does have lab coats, yes, and she is a kind of a science whiz.
Mad scientist. Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah.
You got to have that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
She's taught us pretty much all I know, or most of what I know.
Well, that was my next question, is as the head distiller, then you've learned a lot from her, and I would imagine you guys do a little experimentation now and again?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we're always trying inventing new drinks, new cocktails, new spirits, new mash bills. We look online, we read blogs, whatever we need to do, because none of us have a real background in distilling, but we are learning fast and we're getting better every day. So,
well, and I got to think that, I mean, this is the first time I've ever talked to anyone that's in the distilling game or micro-distilling. And so this is really a new thing. I mean, you're the only one in our area that I know of anyway. And I don't know how big of an area you're the only one here, but so that's fascinating. We're all kind of just cutting our teeth and learning a little bit about this business you guys are in. And so that's what this is about today, for sure.
So talk about the process a little bit of creating one of these wonderful bourbons. And by the way, do you make a little of everything in the distillery?
Yes, we do make a little bit of everything. Our first product was our Cold North Vodka, and that started probably a 1.5 year long process till we figured out that recipe.
Wow.
And it's made with actually wild rice and beet sugar, so it's an all Minnesota product.
Yep.
Took us like a while to come up with it and perfect it, but now that we got it down, it's getting better every run.
That's the other thing you kind of learn, don't you, as you go. And I know we're visiting with brewers too, and they say the same thing. You know the thing, but then you tweak it just a little bit to try something. Some are more successful than others, and then you just keep adding on.
Yeah, exactly.
It's an iterative process. That's a big word, by the way.
And I'm really interested. It's a long process, isn't it, for these?
Yes. So our typical length of process is for our vodka per se, it's about 2 weeks. And that's till we get it made, and then we also have to go through the bottling and all that as well. But it takes we do our own mash. We call it kind of similar to like a beer, and we ferment it with our fermentable sugars, the beet sugar and the wild rice, and make our low alcohol content, and then we run it through the still, and that's what the distillation process is just concentrating that alcohol that you create.
Yeah. Talk about some of the other products too. So you mentioned what did you call it? Cold
North Vodka, and then our next product was our Lizzy's gin. It's named after my wife. We have bourbon, straight bourbon whiskey. We've taken that straight bourbon whiskey and now created a Minnesota Fire whiskey. It's called,
which is what I'm sipping, by the way, over ice, and it's awful good.
That one is very much not like a Fireball. If you've had Fireball, it is a lot stronger. It's closer to a 40 to 45% alcohol.
Well, and you're right about the fire. I mean, I know Fireball. You know, I do ice fishing and things like that, but this is not. Yeah, it does not come across tasting like fire. First of all, it's not as sugary in my mind.
Yes, exactly.
But it's smoother, and it's got that same kind of. You can feel the cinnamon in there, and it's just great. It's great.
Fireball expert, are you?
Yeah.
That's for another day, maybe.
Yeah.
No.
All right, keep going. Some other products.
Our other products, we do a Rocks roast coffee liqueur, and that is similar to like our Kahlua. And then we also do a drink called salmiakki. Both the coffee liqueur and the salmiakki are both made from our Cold North Vodka. And the salmiakki is like a black licorice liqueur, very popular in like Scandinavian countries. They drink it straight cold out of the freezer often.
And you were mentioning
Jägermeister. My wife lived in Germany for a while, and that was she said the Germans cringe at what we're doing with their Jägermeister here in America because it's, like you say, it's kept in the freezer, comes out after dinner for a little after dinner sipping type of liqueur.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just a sipper. That's how we treat it too. We don't have it in any of our cocktails right now. We just serve it cold as possible on ice and let people taste it.
Anything else that you've brewed up here?
So the other last one that I have brought for today is Amaretto. It's similar to like a Di Serono or a almond liqueur. This one we just came out with. It's not quite for sale yet, but it will be soon.
So should we stop the recording and come back in about 40 minutes and
give it a taste run?
Amaretto. That sounds, maybe we'll have to try that a little later.
Absolutely. And do you have plans for others?
Oh, yes, we do. We are always trying different things. I've tried creme de coco or like a chocolate liqueur. We've tried apple pie moonshines. We've done all kinds of different experiments. Some better than others. Some we got to tweak. we're also going to be doing a maple bourbon coming up soon. We had a maple nut bourbon in the past. This one's going to be more just maple forward, and we think we almost like it better, so we're going to go with that for springtime.
That sounds great.
No kidding.
So for our listeners, a lot of our listeners, you're talking about the distilling and all that. Talk about the facility. Now, you're up on Washington Street in Brainerd, and for those of you who know Brainerd at all, Washington is our east-west.
Main drag,
yeah. East-west. Just go find it, and 13th Street, just shortly after, you'll see a black building. It's all black, and you got your cool 5Rocks Distilling on the outside. It's very, what do you call it? It's discreet.
Yeah.
And but once you find it, so what happens when I walk in the door of 5Rocks? What am I going to find?
So we got the distilling area, which is on the west side of the building.
Is that visible? Can I see parts of it, or
yes,
like
absolutely.
through glass? Or?
There's a big window in the bar area as well as the other entrance on the west side. So when you walk in, if you walked in on the west side, which is the Sakura Express side, you walk right by the distillery. There's a good big window if you want to look inside and see what's going on.
Sure.
We got our fermenters.
Well, people love to see.
that.
We love to see what's that's a lot of the appeal of the new wave of the breweries and then these micro distilleries. We're not just it's not just the big guys cranking out bottles of this stuff in huge factories. It's craft distilling. That's really neat.
Yeah. All right.
So then you have a place I can go sit, right?
Yes. Yep. And then we have the cocktail room side. We call it the cocktail room or the tasting room.
Okay.
That's where our bar basically, and come in, get a menu and, order drinks. We don't serve any food, but we welcome people to bring in food.
Sure.
Similar to how the breweries do. You can bring in food.
So you could order a pizza while you're there.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Or you could, okay. I get it.
For our listeners here at Pubcast Live, you should explain, and that's part of some Minnesota laws that are currently in existence. Am I right on that?
To have food?
Yeah, as far as having food in breweries and distilleries, I don't know.
I guess I'm not sure if that's a law or not, but we would need another license to have.
Yeah, I don't think it's outlawed. It just pushes them into a new realm of regulations for cooking and, like you say, food license.
Yeah.
All right, it's about 4 times now you've mentioned cocktails.
Yes.
And let's get into that, because not only can we find some sipping liquors, if you will, to sample, but then you mix cocktails there. And is that become kind of its own, if you will, mixing room?
Yes, so that's kind of what we're going for, is to be kind of not to say higher end, but we want to make good drinks, something that's not really around this area. You go anywhere to any random bar and you don't know what you're going to get poured in a glass. So,
right. And when you say, you don't have to worry about saying higher end. It doesn't mean stuffy and like your average Joe can't come in. It just means you want to craft a great cocktail.
Yes,
and
exactly.
when you come in, you only come in for one maybe, or, it's not like you walk in there to load up on cocktails, but when you do want that one, I bet I'm going to head in with my wife. We're going to head in and sit down and order a cocktail. Why not?
Yeah. So talk about some of that experimentation that's going on. And we noticed on your website, too, that you have cocktail kits that can be purchased. Is this true?
Yes. So our cocktail kits, we take-home kits, that really started during the pandemic because we couldn't have our bar area open. So we had to improvise a little bit, and we went with just off-sale because we could still do our off-sale. Mm-hmm. So we could sell our bottles, and then we did cocktail kits, which started getting bigger and bigger too. I've seen a lot of places start to do them, but
right.
They're great. They're take home good gifts for people. They did really well during Christmas time with holidays, all that. So
well, and this is my thought when I went to your website. The same thing. I'm looking at these kits and I'm thinking, they range anywhere from $27 up to $50, but so that's right in a wheelhouse of a nice gift for somebody. And there's so many of these times when what do you get that person that has everything? How do you find a gift that's special? And I think these 5Rocks Distilling Company kits are just the cat's meow. It comes with, whatever you need to make 4 cocktails maybe or something like that.
4 to 6 typically.
4 to 6. And so if you have friends over, it's just great. I was very impressed.
Okay. Let me write that down because, Thor, your birthday's coming up not too long
right.
from now. And now I know you're the hard to buy for person.
Yeah, well, I'd be happy to have it.
That sounds fun. And so you have a limited number of kits, but I imagine you have a slightly higher number of in-house cocktails to choose
Absolutely.
from.
Yes, we are always coming up with new cocktails. That's kind of, I think, what we're getting known for, too, is we are very seasonal. So we come up with a lot of seasonal drinks. We're switching over to our spring menu now, coming out with our new Amaretto, which will be featured in a couple drinks, as well as other spring drinks, summer drinks. We're doing a Long Island iced tea that's coming out. We're always experimenting with new cocktails. We have so many books, and we also did a little bartending school down in the cities, Minnesota School of Bartending, which kind of showed us all the basics, and we just went from there, creating our own.
So I can make 5Rocks part of my evenings going out. I start there, have a cocktail, and if you're going to move on to a movie or something like that, move on. Otherwise, you're welcome anytime. What are your hours over? I imagine they vary, especially through the.
We're open Wednesday through Saturday. Wednesday and Thursday we are from 4 till 10 o'clock, and then Friday, Saturday we are noon till 10 o'clock.
Okay, but is that just because of the laws right now? Will you be open later, or are you thinking 10 o'clock is
We're thinking
perfect?
10 o'clock's good.
Sure.
If you're coming
you don't want to
in
be
that
sitting
late for hard alcohol, it's usually up to, or might be trouble. So
yeah, not a good. Yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah.
I got to tell you, just sipping on your product here today, and Thor, you used the word before, smooth. I am just so impressed. And I'm thinking you have such a great advantage over some of the major bottlers because they have to do huge batches and try and keep them the same all the time. You have the luxury of tweaking and experimenting. Is that something that you like to do?
Yeah, absolutely. We are always tweaking a little bit with our recipes, see what works better, what works worse. A lot of it is in the fermentation. Just experimenting. It's being in Minnesota, sometimes the temperature is hard to regulate. So,
No way. What are you talking about?
So keeping our products at the right temperatures also comes into play. Monitoring the pH levels of our ferments and all that.
So it's not like you're just sitting there saying, "Hey, you want some bourbon or you want a little sipper?" There's a lot of work to it. A lot goes into it.
It sounds like the chemical, the person with the chemistry degree is really paying off, if you will.
Yes, yeah. Yep.
Because of how complicated it is to make the product.
You really have to know at least the basics. And, if you know the basics of chemistry, pH, what's acidic, there's a lot of little things, but for the most part, it hasn't been too hard to learn. Yeah,
and do you make one batch at a time, or do you have several batches going of several different liquors at the same time?
Typically, we have a ferment going at one time, and then we might have a couple products that are ready to be bottled. Usually, it's one at a time. We only have one still. We do have plans, though. We're going to get a bigger still, which would really ramp up production since we are in distribution now as well, so production is kind of picking up. So
yeah, and I was on, like I say, on your website. I went to look at where it's available, where you can find 5Rocks, and at that time I saw 21. I think I counted 21. It's probably growing.
Yep.
It's 21 that you know of anyway, and a lot of local folks here, which is great. But so you look for the label. Obviously 5Rocks is prominently displayed right on the label. And what size bottle would I find in the liquor store now? Let's talk about that a little bit. When you walk in, you said you can only purchase this size, which is
375 milliliters is all we can sell out of the store by state law. And then through the liquor stores or through distribution, we can sell our 750 milliliter.
So
bottles.
Twice this size.
This size.
Through a distributor. So
yep.
Yeah. Okay. And is this the same? Is this the same as breweries? Is that the same for them, or can they?
I believe they can self-distribute. I'm not sure if they all do, but
yeah, and that's a lot of work. Trucks. There's a lot of. That's a whole different ballgame. So yeah, okay.
Now, talk a little bit about the industry itself. This has to be a growing industry across the country?
Yeah, so it's really picking up in the last few years, especially. You know how craft breweries exploded. Mm-hmm. This is kind of not quite to that level, but it's starting to become more and more prevalent. I mean, we are the first distillery in central Minnesota. The closest one to us is in Long Prairie, I believe, Panther Distillery.
Okay.
So other than that, there's a distillery in Duluth, Vikra, but otherwise we're kind of on our own here, which is
well. That's what I was going to say. You're the
benefit.
only one I know of. So I mean, you folks got to get in there. You got to check it out because it's really unique and it's clever. And if you like breweries and what's happened to the brew pub industry, you're going to really be, your interest is going to be piqued by this.
Yeah. Now, how about tasting itself? So if we were to come in, not sure what we wanted to try, Thor's going over to taste some more over there. But how does that work? Can we pick and choose different things? Do we want to cleanse our palate in between? Talk about the tasting experience, if you will.
Yeah. So if you know what you like, we vodka, gin, bourbon, whatever. We have specialty drinks for vodka, gin, bourbon, things like that. But then we also can do tasting flights where we give you samples of our different liqueurs, and then we give you, palate cleansers so you can taste the spirit on their own as well. Yeah.
And then if we find one we like, we might try a cocktail.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. So then if you want to sample something, aren't sure if you like our gin, because some of our products, they're craft. Our vodka's a little different. Our gin's a little different. But doesn't make them any better or worse. It's just it's all preference, but ours.
And see, to me, this is fascinating because I'm not a big liquor drinker, if you will. I mean, I haven't been historically, but about 3-4 years ago, I discovered that I really like just a little sipper like this on ice with nothing else, and just might take me a long, long time, but that's fine.
Yeah.
And the fact that I don't know much about it, but I can come in and sit right there and ask you the questions and you can help me, that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge deal.
And really, I think for a lot of folks, this is about rediscovering really what the tastes are of some of these liquors, isn't it, in a place like this?
Yes, for sure. We have, our gin is, like I said earlier, it's more of a American style gin. If you like that pine needle London Dry gin, this is totally not like that. It's a little more floral. It's got citrus with orange peel. It's got juniper, coriander, rose hips, cardamom.
Wow.
I mean, comes out really floral and not so juniper forward, but you still get that juniper, but it's different than any gin out there for sure. And same with our vodka being made with wild rice. There's no other wild rice vodka that I've ever heard of, and it comes off very smooth, a little hint of vanilla. I like our vodka over any vodka that I've ever tasted. So
I'm intrigued now. We have to.
Yeah. Well, and
do you have any orange juice here in the studio anywhere?
But this is what I'm getting to is these the stuff you're talking about is just great. Go into 5Rocks and sit down, have a cocktail maybe, but then find yourself a kit. And as a gift or for yourself, bring it home, or just grab one of these bottles, bring it home, and you'll learn how to mix it up and just do it right. I'd rather have one great drink than 3 mediocre drinks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it sounds like truly it's an experience, because you've already described 2 of your product in terms that I'm going, wow, that is not like anything I've had before. And I think that's what's truly neat about the experience of coming to 5Rocks.
Yeah, exactly. That's the craft. I mean, we make it ourselves, and that's kind of the difference. We can make it the way we like it, and the way we hope everyone else likes it as well.
Yeah. So what are some things on your list of things to check off here down the line of other liqueurs to make, that type of thing? What are you looking at? We
are trying a rum. We did one test run of the rum. Didn't come out the way we wanted it to, but we think we know what we did wrong. Yeah. So that's the learning curve. But we're going to try to fix that batch, and we're going to try it again with the little tweaks, and hopefully it comes out better next time.
But see, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's so cool how you didn't get it maybe that time right where you want, but eventually you're going to probably stumble on that batch.
Exactly.
And you'll make it your own, and then you'll have a great rum too.
And you kind of answered a question for me, but I'll ask anyway. So you make a batch. It's not exactly what you want.
Yep.
Walk us through that process. What happens?
So that happens every now and then. That's the big thing. You got to figure out what you did wrong. Sometimes the still settings are a little bit off. We have all electronic still, so it will do the temperature, the pressure. It cuts there's heads, hearts, and tails that they call it when they comes off the still. The first part is kind of that. You know, if you ever heard moonshiners going blind, it's got the acetone, it's got methanol, the stuff that's you don't want.
I can assure you that Brett can see me sitting over here, folks. He's fine.
And then the ending is more sugary, also sometimes bad flavors, but you also want to play with that so you get a little bit of that flavor at the end and the beginning, but not too much where it's bad.
That's fascinating already.
Yeah, it's like if I had another lifetime, I could really try to understand what you're saying, but I think I'm just going to let you say it, and it sounds so good, and it tastes great too.
Yeah. So you're going to take a run at a rum.
Yes, and then we're also going to do some other whiskeys as well down the road. They got to age, which is the big problem. So,
why? Tell us about
So the bourbon's got to age in oak barrels. I mean, the minimum's usually 6 months. To be considered a bourbon, it has to be at least 3 years in an American oak newly charred barrel and be 51% corn or higher. There's regulations for all the liquors, but I mean, if you like bourbon, that's why sometimes that one takes a while.
Sure.
Other whiskeys can be done a little bit faster. But yeah.
And are you in the process of making a bourbon? I mean, is that on the list of things to get to one of these days?
Yes. So our bourbon, which we do source for now, because it takes 3 years to age, we picked it over 20 different samples. We picked exactly what we wanted. We're going to try making that completely on our own here in the future, as well as the other whiskeys, which we kind of go off what we like. We want to do like a Canadian style whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
As well, maybe like a Crown type.
Yeah. I love the fact that you talked about your vodka with Minnesota products. Is that true of everything you distill whenever you can? Keep Minnesota products in the ingredients?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we want to be all Minnesota that we can, especially even in the summertime and stuff like that. We do a lot of local herbs and things like that. We source our honey out of Brian's Honey Company. They're a local.
Oh, a local honey. Okay, cool.
And local maple syrup from Clay Hill Farms is who we get our maple syrup from. And
see, that's great. We love to hear that. And I saw on your website too that you are in bars around here, some select bars or whatever too. We had Rob from the 9th Street in here recently, and that was one of the things he absolutely loved is he could work with you 5Rocks and have you guys in there and trying to source local. And really Pubcast Live is kind of all about that. Let's a rising tide lifts all boats. You know, if we can get all you folks working together, it's great. I mean, why not?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. What else is there about 5Rocks Distilling Company that we haven't talked about yet that our listeners would be intrigued by?
Just the atmosphere that we have. It's different than any other place. You're not going to some hole in the wall bar. We don't have any TVs in our place, so you're kind of forced to talk to people. Yeah. So if you want to just come, it's a little less maintenance than going into a bar. We're all sit down, have a good drink. And
so is it a bar I would sit at, or am I just sitting at tables out about, or you walk up to the bar to visit maybe and sit down, or how does that work?
So you order up at the bar. We don't come take orders. It's almost like a Starbucks type. You come up, give your order. We make the drinks. If you want to stay and watch us mix and pour the drinks, you can. But then we'll bring them out to your tables. So pretty laid back, really.
I am so intrigued. We've got a road trip.
Yeah, we got a road trip up.
We now have a road trip.
Do you have? Obviously, you guys are so new that this is all kind of new, to everybody around here. But do you have any events that you're involved in, or is there anything during the year that I should look for that would get me over that direction, or what do you do? Is there anything?
Yeah, so we've always wanted to do things like that. We haven't so much with the COVID, but we have plans.
Brett, to be fair, your timing was just really amazing because what you were set to open.
It was 2 days. It was like March, April.
2 days before the lockdown.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those of you in business that get all, you put everything you have into it and you're ready and it's all set to go. And then all of a sudden you're locked down. It's like, well, okay.
Yeah. We had to shift gears pretty fast after that.
Right. So I was just asking about an event though. You were starting to say you've always wanted to do something.
Yeah. We want to have some like catering. I know we're friends with like Pit Happens and Big Bob's Barbecue. We want people that do little catering events.
Sure.
I don't know who else.
So it's a great idea for them to contact you, and then when they're talking to their customers, it's a wedding, or they say, "Well, we source out from 5Rocks locally," and that's a great. Wow, that's a cool deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If people want to find out more, do you have a website and Facebook and all of that?
Yes, we do. We're on both Facebook and we have a website, 5rocksdistilling.com. Otherwise,
just find them on Facebook. I didn't have any issue. Just look for 5Rocks Distilling Company.
Comes up pretty quick and easy to find.
Isn't that where we saw all those incredible pictures too?
Oh God, yeah. Oh, go to their website, people. Just take a look at these cocktails we're talking about. It's amazing, and and the Facebook page has tons of these cocktails. You just scroll and I happen to be I love my old fashions. I saw an old fashioned on there. That was,
old fashioned?
Yeah. I saw an old fashioned that looked like, oh my gosh. That was so good looking.
And I'm intrigued because the martini has made a comeback as well. And you were talking about your gin.
Yeah, so we make quite a few martinis. We make I don't know, probably 4 or 5 martinis right now that are on the menu. We're always coming up with new ones. We did Valentine's special, Valentini. So it's seasonal. We'll always come up with new ones. We have our classic dirty martini and, lemon drop or lemon crema martini. We have a espresso martini that we use with our rocks roast. So all kinds of options. Whatever you're into, we'll have it.
Wow.
Brett, I have a feeling we might ask you back sometime in the future here because I think we've only kind of scratched a little bit of the surface of what this really is. And for our listeners to kind of get their heads around it, it's not like a liquor store. I mean, you go in there and you buy these craft creations.
Yeah.
You can have the drink there, but the big thing is come on in and maybe bring a small bottle home or as a gift with one of these kits. And I'm really excited for you guys. I think it's great. And we're so thrilled you came by today. I mean, that's great that you spend your time with
samples.
Us. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
This job is getting easier as we do it.
And I am telling you, it's just super smooth.
Right.
I'm really impressed.
See, we're used to being back when you're like in high school and you have your first sip of whiskey or something like that. That's what you're thinking. And well, maybe that's not what you're thinking. That's what I'm thinking. And but
you bought the cheapest thing on the shelf, and this is really, really good.
Yeah. I mean, it's it's just like all of us. Like I say, I'd rather have one small sipper than 2 of something else. Yeah, I want it to be good when I have it. So
yeah. Well, we give you 2 thumbs up. Wonderful stuff. We wish you best of luck. Oh, one more cheers here for me. Thor and I are going to
5Rocks. Awesome.
Yeah, 5Rocks Distilling Company. Great craft distillery right here in Brainerd on Washington Street. Look it up online or on Facebook. And please go enjoy and check out those cocktail kits for gift ideas. They are fantastic. And we will have you back because it sounds like you guys are creating all the time. We'll have you back sometime. We'll talk about some new creations.
Absolutely. Right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Brett. Appreciate it.
Brett Jenkins is the head distiller for 5Rocks Distilling Company, and we do hope you'll check them out because they make an awesome product. And once again, Thor, cheers to you. And that concludes this segment of Pubcast Live.
Wow. I was blown away by that interview. I had no clue that there was distilling going on, and it's just so different than anything I'm used to.
And I'm blown away by just how smooth and tasty that little sample we had. I am definitely planning on going back.
Wait a minute. What do you mean that little sample?
Well, okay, the samples that we had today. They were really tasty, and I keep coming back to that word smooth because they really, really were.
Yeah, you go to a place like this and you buy some of this for the quality. You just want a nice, slow, high quality drink. And that's exactly what we had. It's wonderful.
Yeah. And Brett mentioned about the craft cocktails that they make from these wonderful concoctions, the things that they distill. So Again, that's another great reason to go back there and try some of those, if you will, craft cocktails from their craft distillery.
Yep. Look for them, 5Rocks Distilling Company, Brainerd, Minnesota.
All right. In the meantime, we want to remind you that if you have a favorite bar you'd like us to talk about or a favorite topic that we should cover here on Pubcast Live, please get a hold of us.
Yeah, for sure. And you can find us anywhere. We're all over the place. Our website is pubcast.live. That's .live, not .com. Pubcast.live. You can find us on Facebook at Pubcast Live. You can email us, info@pubcast.live, and on YouTube, Pubcast Live.
Lots of ways to get a hold of us. We hope you enjoy the show.
How many times did I say Pubcast Live there?
A lot. I didn't keep track because we were too much visiting with Brett and the stuff from 5Rocks Distilling. But it really was a fun time visiting with Brett. Yeah. And we'll have another great guest on our next episode of Pubcast Live.